Very good evening and a very warm welcome to Buddhist Mahavihara's Facebook page here. We're going live this evening at our Buddhist Mahavihara's Dhammadana series. And this evening we have with us a very special guest, and this guest is, I think, one of the more popular speakers that we have here on the Dhammadana series, and he's well received whenever he's coming on live on our Dhammadana series. Um, Before I introduce the speaker, I would like to apologize. I think today, in where I am, the internet is not very good. So I think we're only running at a 50% capacity. So the visuals might not be very good, but hopefully we will be able to complete the program without any problems. I would like to now introduce to you the speaker this evening. He is none other than Bhante Dr. S. Pemarathana, a good friend of Buddhist Mahavihara. Uh, Good evening, Bhante.
Good
Good
evening.
morning to you. Good morning to you.
Good evening to you, brother, and good evening to everyone. Yes.
Yes, so this evening, Bhante will be talking to us on how to improve our physical and mental immunity. And considering that this is now the time of the pandemic, and it's also times where people have been getting vaccinated. And Bhante just told me that he is one of the few who has got vaccinated in America. So, very lucky, Bhante, to be one of the first few.
Thank you. Yeah.
So as we wait our turn, Bhante can maybe explain later his experiences of getting the vaccine.
Mhm.
Um, for those of you who are not familiar with Bhante, let me quickly read his profile. Bhante Dr. S. Pemarathana is the chief abbot of the Pittsburgh Buddhist Center in the US. He holds a bachelor's degree in Buddhist studies from the Peradeniya University of Sri Lanka, a master's in philosophy from the National University of Singapore, and was conferred a PhD from the University of Pittsburgh. He conducts regular workshops on meditation at his center and also at yoga studios in the greater Pittsburgh area. He also provides spiritual counseling to help Americans deal with the challenges of modern living. With that, we would now like to invite Bhante to start this evening's Dhamma sharing on the subject how to improve our physical and mental immunity. Bhante, please.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much for inviting me. A very good evening to each and everyone. If you, I hope that everyone is doing well, doing okay. It has been challenging times for many of us, and but at the same time, I think this challenging time also proved how resilient we are. No matter whatever difficulties we had, somehow we were able to help each other and endure all the hardships and follow all the precautions, and there was an element of resilience. So I want to congratulate, I want to wish all the best for all of our friends for being resilient and also using this difficult time to learn more about the Dhamma. Nice to have you, nice to be with you again. As Brother Leslie mentioned, today we will talk about immunity and how we can improve our physical and mental immunity. I hope that you will, get your vaccine soon. Fortunately, I got mine. The first shot I got mine, but I'm too young to get at this pace in the US. But as Brother Leslie mentioned, I was lucky because in a rural area, about 1.5 hours away from our place, there was a clinic giving away vaccines, but there were some people who did not get those vaccines, and so therefore there were appointments available for people outside of the rural area. So one of our devotees living there informed me that there is opportunity. This leftover vaccines are giving away to anyone who wants it. So I quickly I went there and got my first shot. I hope that may everyone be able to get those vaccines. But today, what we are going to talk is actually even without the vaccine, with or without vaccine, and how we can actually boost or how we can improve our own immunity within our body. We know that in the vaccine, by getting the vaccines, we develop what we call acquired immunity. So acquired immunity, we kind of teach our body to be prepared for this kind of pathogens. But at the same time, we also have innate immunity. So I think we should pay more attention to innate immunity that is already, a capacity in our body and also in our mind. Then we can, if we can address that innate immunity, we can improve it. So even though we get infected, it will not be a big problem because our immunity can handle it. So even we get vaccine for this time. I hope that all of you, be able to get it very soon. But even if we get it, that is not the end of the story. There can be so many other infections coming around, and there are also other, we are vulnerable to all types of illnesses too. So it's really important to recognize our immunity and also gradually improve it. So hopefully, let us try to learn from the teachings of the Buddha what we can do in order to, improve our immunity. I hope that you are already doing certain things during this time to kind of, take care of your health. So what I'm going to share with you is maybe simply give you more understanding of what you are already doing, or maybe helping you to add a little bit more so you can improve your immunity. So I found an interesting verse, a gatha of the Buddha in Dhammapada. I think many of you are familiar with the Buddhist text Dhammapada, the verses of the Buddha, the collection of the poems of the Buddha. In that book, I think there's a very nice book composed by our late chief, Kesri Dhammananda Nayaka Mahathera, with nice, paintings also. If you had a chance to look at that wonderful Dhammapada edition by our late chief, Kesri Dhammananda, I invite you to, have a look at that. So in that book, in that Dhammapada text, there's interesting verse that can help us to understand a little bit about immunity. So it is verse number 124. 124. In that, the verse says that if there's no wound on the hand, that hand can carry poison. The poison won't penetrate where there is no wound. So in the same way, if there's no evil intention, one will not do a bad karma. That is verse number 124. But in this is about actually karma. Like if you are not voluntarily or volitionally involved in an action, we will not accumulate karma. But the first part is kind of it's a simile given by the Buddha. If there's no wound in the hand, that hand can carry poison. You can hold a poison in your hand as long as you have no wounds in your palm, because the poison won't penetrate if there's no wound in our palm. So this is an interesting way of understanding that sometimes we cannot live in an environment that is completely free from pathogens, so we completely free from germs, so viruses. Somehow we had to live with them. But if you have a really protected skin, so to speak, so we may be able to live with them. So I think, but the problem is that sometimes if we have wounds in our hand, in our palm, then those wounds can be an opening that these infections or the viruses, the germs can go in. So in that way, what we can learn here actually, if we develop our innate immunity, our skin is a very important part of our immune system. The skin protects us from all kinds of germs. But we can also enhance that ability, through our own lifestyle, through our own, particularly through using our own mind. So today we will talk about two types of immunity there, which are very related. One is called physical immunity. That's the immunity that we all know very well. So physical immunity. Physical immunity can mean simply our body's ability to prevent or heal an infection. Yeah. Thank you, Brother Leslie, for putting that subtitle. Yeah. Our body's ability to prevent or heal an infection. It can either prevent, or maybe once we get it, it can easily heal the illness. So that's what we call physical immunity. So then we can also have mental immunity, which I would like to interpret as our mind's ability to prevent or overcome an invasion of unwholesome thoughts. So just like the body can be infected by a virus, our mind can also be infected by our unwholesome thoughts, our unwholesome emotions, our unwholesome tendencies. So to ability to prevent or overcome the invasion, because our thoughts can be invasive, we can really occupy our whole mind and occupy days and weeks of our mind. So our mind's ability to either to prevent or maybe overcome, once we get them to overcome, that can be uh, physical, mental immunity. But these two forms of immunity are so related, so connected. That's an important thing we need to learn today, how they are connected to each other. But this whole idea of immunity is telling us that actually our body is vulnerable. It's very vulnerable to be exposed to all kind of external influences, to all kind of external germs. But at the same time, our body also has a very strong, very important mechanism to protect itself. We are, on the one hand, we are vulnerable to be exposed to all kinds of germs and viruses, but at the same time our body has this innate ability to protect itself. And if you get a cut, for example, your body will try its best to heal it. We just have to cover it, and our body will heal it. So our body is kind of self-repairing system, and it has this inner mechanism to protect itself and to heal itself. But we just had to enhance that inbuilt system. In the same way, our mind is also vulnerable to experience all kinds of negative emotions, all kinds of negative thoughts. When we meet difficult situations, challenging situations, negative, circumstances, easily our mind can be vulnerable to experience all negative emotions. But at the same time, we also have the innate ability in our mind to watch them, to overcome them, and gradually evolve or transcend them. So we are vulnerable, but at the same time, we have a capacity to overcome. So let's focus on that capacity and try to, enhance them. But however, what I want you to remember in the beginning, although we will talk about immunity here, we will not be. One thing we need to remember is that we will not be able to completely be immune from all kind of diseases. There's no way. We can improve our immunity, but as long as we carry this body, as long as we live in the samsaric life, we are all subject to old age, subject to sicknesses. And in fact, there are 5 reflections that the Buddha has already encouraged us to do on regular basis. And one of among these 5 reflections, one is that we are supposed to reflect: I am of the nature to get sick. I haven't transcended this state yet. And I am of the nature to get old. I haven't transcended this reality yet. And I am of the nature to die. I haven't transcended this reality. And of course, then we will go to the other reflections, like I'm whatever dear to me will one day will be separated from me, and I'm the owner of my own karma. So those are the 5 reflections. But remembering all the time that I am of the nature to get sick, and I'm subject to sickness. That is the reality of our samsaric life. The only when we become enlightened, that means only we kind of transcend our self-centeredness and then transcend the individual sense of existence, and only then we will be completely be free from sicknesses and old age. But until then, we are subject to sicknesses. But that doesn't mean that we simply have to succumb to our sicknesses and let any sickness to come to our body. No, that's not what really Buddha meant. And understanding that we are vulnerable to those conditions, and of course our aim should be to transcend them. And real transcendence happen when we really achieve our spiritual progress. But at the same time, the very reason that why we are subject to sickness is that our body, our life is a result of so many causes and conditions. And our life is possible, our body exists thanks to so many conditions, so many causes and conditions. And by understanding those different causes and conditions, we can provide good conditions for this body to live long and be healthy. And so it's okay to make that kind of changes. So while we are contemplating that I'm subject to those realities of the life, but at the same time taking care of the body and being kind to our body is very important practice. So in the whole Buddhist path is called the middle path, and one of the aspects of the middle path is not to deny body, not to reject body, not to engage in self-mortification or extreme forms of ascetic practices, but be kind to body, take care of the body, and then help use the health and use the comfort of the body to have a spiritual progress. So it's completely okay as Buddhists that we focus more on our health that can help us our spiritual progress, but not forgetting the fact that ultimately we are not completely immune from all the realities, but we can gradually manage this and then maintain as much good health as we can. And when you think about mental immunity, and how this mental immunity and spiritual immunity are so connected, I think I'd like to share a story with you. I think you have heard the Bojjhanga Paritas, right? Yeah. I think Brother Leslie, in Buddhist Mahavihara, you chant Bojjhanga Paritas, right? Do you chant
Yeah,
Bojjhanga
yes, yes,
Paritas?
Bhante. Every Saturday evening we have the Bojanga chanting. For
That's one.
those who are not well, they can attend, especially the family members to support those who are not well. So we have been doing that for the past couple of years, every Saturday at 7:30.
Yeah, Bojjhanga chanting, right? So,
Yes.
Brother Leslie, we will explain our devotees, the importance of the Bojjhanga Paritas when it comes to immunity. So, there are three Bojjhanga Paritas, the chanting, the sutras given by the Buddha to Venerable Arahant Mahakassapa, and also Venerable Arahant Mahamoggallana, and also there's another Bojjhanga Parita that actually the Buddha asked Venerable Chunda to chant for the Buddha himself. And also we also have another similar sutta called Girimananda Sutta. But let me explain the story of Venerable Mahakassapa. Of course, we know that Venerable Mahakassapa, the Arahant Mahakassapa, is the one of the key disciples of the Buddha. In fact, after the Buddha's passing away, the Arahant Mahakassapa was the key person who actually convened all the monks, and then and put together all the teachings of the Buddha and organized it to different sections that we are reading today. So together with Venerable Ananda, it is Venerable Arahant Mahakassapa who actually played a very key role in preparing the teachings of the Buddha and preserving and organizing the teachings of the Buddha for future generations. So one day, Venerable Mahakassapa got really sick, and he was a forest dweller. He likes to live in forest, so he was living in a place called Squirrel Sanctuary, Squirrel Sanctuary, and he was living in a cave. And of course, he got seriously ill there. And of course, Buddha got to know that Venerable Mahakassapa is ill. So therefore, what Buddha did in one of the evenings, and Buddha from Buddha's own residence, start to walk and travel to where Venerable Mahakashyapa was living or resting, due to his sickness. So when the Buddha approached there, and Venerable Mahakasapa was lying down on the bed, and he was as soon as Buddha approached, Venerable Mahakasapa was like, try to get up, but the Buddha said that don't, Kasapa, lie down there. I know that it's not easy for you; it's difficult for you. And then there was a seat next to Venerable Mahakasapa, so Buddha sat down there, and then asked, "But how do you feel now?" And of course, in the Bojjhanga Parita, you see this conversation. Kachite kasapa kamaniyam, kachi yapaniyam. It's like, how are you? How are you feeling, Mahakashyapa? Kachite kasapa. And then Buddha said that is your sickness is going down. Is your illness is decreasing. I hope that is decreasing and not increasing. But Venerable Mahakasapa said that Venerable say, no, really, it's not really decreasing. In fact, it is increasing. I have these pains. It's really difficult to bear, and it's not decreasing anyway. It's really increasing. And realizing that his condition is quite serious, Buddha said that, okay, right here, let me chant 7 factors of enlightenment for you. So this is an interesting kind of spiritual healing happening here. What is really happening here, that Buddha is chanting, reciting the 7 spiritual factors, 7 factors of enlightenment, which are actually inner spiritual qualities. The Venerable Mahakasapa has developed all these 7 factors of enlightenment, which is start with mindfulness, and it start with investigation of the mental phenomena, and rapture, serenity, and concentration, and equanimity. All these important spiritual qualities. So Buddha said that I'm going to chant these 7 factors of enlightenment, and Venerable Kasapa, you can focus to my chanting, focus to the recitation, and make a contemplation within you, and then try to reflect your own spiritual quality that you have developed through your practice. By reflecting on your own spiritual qualities, and you'll be able to completely relax your mind and body. And that very reflection of the inner qualities that you have developed can help you to recover from your illness. So Buddha sat down next to Venerable Mahakasapa out of great kindness, and Buddha started to chant all the 7 factors of enlightenment. And Venerable Mahakasapa was lying down there, listening to the beautiful, soothing chanting of the Buddha, and also contemplating all these 7 factors of enlightenment, and reflecting how these 7 factors of enlightenment exist in his own mind. And as a result of that thorough guided contemplation, at the end of the chanting, Venerable Mahakasapa was able to bring his mind to such a serene and uplifted place that he was able to kind of go above his physical pain, and that very purity of the mind influenced his body and develop a deeper relaxation of the body, and then enhance his immunity also. And then at the end, he was healed at the end of that exercise, given by the Buddha. So the Bojjhanga Paritas are those similar stories. Same thing with Mahakashyapa, Venerable Mahamoggallana. And also one time Buddha was also feeling sick, so he invited Venerable Chunda to come and chant 7 factors of enlightenment for the Buddha himself. So here we can see, by reflecting on the inner virtues and making one's mind so purified, and we can actually influence our whole body. Our whole mechanism of the body can be influenced by our mind, and that is the meaning of the Bojjhanga Paritas. So here we can see how the mental immunity, when our mind is free from negative thoughts, free from negative tendencies, how such a purified mind can help our body to get healed. So whenever you are sick, whenever you are infected, so I think that is the best time that we should practice the Dhamma, or that is the best time that we should do a contemplation of wholesome qualities that we have developed. That's a good time that we can do a good meditation, and doing all meditation and recitations and readings that can help our mind to be purified. If you create a purified mind, and that will help your body. I know that when you are sick, it's so difficult to do such thing. But if you make an effort, you will see there's an influence we can do to our own body. And in fact, when uh, at the time of the Buddha, when a person called Nakula Pita, and when he was ill, and Buddha gave him an interesting teaching that Buddha said that when your body is ill, and don't let your mind also get ill. So make sure that you purify your mind, and that will help you to heal your body also. Okay, so let's talk about a specific practices that we can do to kind of improve our physical immunity. So I would like to first focus on the physical immunity part. And this set of teachings that I'm sharing today is actually coming from also a verse in the Dhammapada, but also the same verse is found in other places too. But this is particularly advice given to monks. And Buddha has given like short form of discipline to the monks. Of course, we have whole disciplinary code, but there are also short, summarized, more like instructional, inspirational advice given by the Buddha for monks to reflect every day. So, in one of in that whole concise reflection that we are doing every day as monks, we have this verse. I'm just going to read that. In that verse, we have nice practices that we can use to improve our physical and also mental immunity. So verse goes like this. Mattanyuta cha bhattasmin pantancha sayanasanam adhi chitte cha ayogo etang buddhana sasanam. Etang buddhana sasanam means this is the teachings of the Buddha. This is the instructions of the Buddha. So what are the instructions? Knowing the correct measure in eating, and knowing the correct measure in traveling, and knowing the correct measure in resting, and experiencing higher states of the mind. And this is the instruction of the Buddha. So this is these are the sets of instruction given by the Buddha. So focusing on this verse, I would like to point out a few things that we can do, not for only for monks, but for all of our devotees, for upasakas and also upasikas, how we can improve our immunity following this teaching of the Buddha. Of course, Buddha has given these teachings not simply to improve our immunity, even to do our spiritual, progress, but let's focus on these things, how the implications of these practices for our good health. First one, mattanyutacha bhattasmin, knowing the correct measure in eating, which means mindful eating. This is an important practice that we can do to improve our immunity. Mindful eating. There are two aspects to this: what to eat and also how to eat. We should remember that actually our food should be a nourishment to our body. Food should be a nourishment to our body, and that is the primary purpose of food. So sometimes, when we want to eat, we focus more on the taste rather than the nourishing qualities of the food. I think of course, it's no harm on focusing on the taste, but I think we should not focus too much on that. We should not forget the nourishment part of it. Now, is this food is nourishing my body? So whenever we are eating, we have to ask that question. Other than being a really nice, delicious food, we have to ask: is this food is nourishing my body? And you really have to genuinely ask that. When I put this food into my body, is it helping my body, or is it giving extra burdens to my body? You know that there are certain food can be so delicious, but when you put that food into your body has to struggle a lot to digest it. It can be so, maybe so oily or so, so difficult to digest, and sometimes may not necessarily be nourishing our body too. So instead, usually we ask food, is this food taste nice? Is it really, taste nice? That's the question we usually ask. But I think instead we should learn to ask the question: is this food nourishing my body? And and also knowing the correct measure. And I think Buddha talk about moderation in eating. It's not simply eating a lot doesn't really help our body too. We have to know the correct measure of the body. And one way we can do it actually, learning to listen to the body, to listen to the body. Most of the time, when we are eating, we mostly listen to the craving of the mind and not to the body. If you really take time and listen to the body, do I want to eat now? Or how how hungry I am now, how much I need to eat. So our body has its own intelligence and own wisdom. If you pay attention to your body with strong mindfulness and listen to your body and ask your body, our body can actually tell us, how much we need to eat. So thinking about the amount you eat, thinking about also the what you eat, mainly thinking whether they are nourishing our body is really important. That will really help our body to develop our immunity. If you keep eating the food that nourish your body, it is really helping boosting our immunity. And I think, there are so many instructions on that from your secular literature too. But I think from the Buddhist standpoint, what I can share with you also, not only what you eat, but also how you eat. When we eat, the how you eat, what kind of attitude do you have towards the food, and also how we engage in that act of eating is also important to decide the immunity of our body. You know that when you observe the eight precepts, or when you're attending retreats, you should do a reflection of food before you eat. Of course, as monks, we also have that chanting, that reflection we do before we eat. In that reflection, we make a reflection, and in one important element, one important part of that reflection is to remind ourselves that I eat this food for the sustenance of this body. Just making the reflection, I'm eating this food for the sustenance of this body. So I think what we can do before we eat, just take a moment. Don't hurry to eat that food. When you have this food in front of you, take a moment. Take a moment to decide how much I'm going to eat, and do I want to eat everything, or can I save and eat whatever my body asks to eat right now, and also make a reflection that, and also make even like making a wish that may this food be a nourishment to my body. May this food bring good health to my body. Just make that reflection before you eat. That will change a lot of things in your body. Your body will get ready to digest it. It will, your body will incorporate with the digesting process. So that simple mental reflection can help us a lot. So mindful eating involves knowing the correct measure in eating, how much we want to eat, and what kind of food that we really want to eat, and only nourishing food, and also making a reflection before we eat, and making a wish. May this food bring good health to me. May this food help me to sustain my body. Just make that wish. And of course, we can also add gratitude. Also, like may all who are involved in producing this food be well and happy. I'm grateful. Do that. Add that gratitude part also. But mainly making that wish. So if you eat your food like that mindfully, definitely that will help us a lot to develop our innate immunity. That's already there. We just have to, improve it. Okay, the second guideline I can give you, based on the stanza, the gatha that I just told you, is proper sleep, sleeping well, or proper sleep. And usually, whenever we are when we are busy with other things, when we have important projects, the first thing that we will sacrifice is our sleep. And I also personally have to be careful on that. Whenever we have more teachings and more other activities, and we will easily sacrifice our sleep. I think it's kind of good that you are kind and you are generous to help someone, but I think sacrificing our sleep is not a smart idea. And of course, Buddha talked about, and understanding the correct measure in sleep. And sleep is necessary for our body to repair itself, to recharge itself. In fact, we know that white blood cells are key component in our immunity system, our mechanism of immunity in our body. And of course, what we call T cells are important part of white blood cells that can really decide our level of immunity. So when we are sleep deprived, first thing that will happen will be our T cells, the type of our white blood cells will go down, and that's really bad for us. So therefore, we should really think about having a proper sleep and not to sacrifice our sleep, because that very sleep, resting, can allow us to function more and help others more. So by sacrificing sleep, it's not really help us in long run to be helpful to others too. And so therefore we should think about it. And of course, when we there's an interesting sutta called Hattaka Sutta in the Sangyutta Nikaya, where a person called Hattaka approached the Buddha. This person Hattaka saw Buddha had sleep in outdoor during winter season. When early morning, when Hattaka was making his morning jogging, he saw Buddha had slept under a tree during winter season. So early morning he saw the Buddha there, and he was so surprised that how come Buddha can sleep outside during the winter season, even this uneven ground. So he went to the Buddha and asked, Venerable Sir, did you have a good sleep? Because it's not conducive to have a good sleep during this time. Right there, Buddha made a very important statement. He said that I am one of the people in this world who can sleep well. In the way, in other sense, Buddha said that I'm one of the good sleepers. I'm one of the people in this world who can sleep well. So Buddha talked about himself, saying that I'm a person who can sleep well. And we usually don't kind of credit ourselves, telling that I'm a person who can sleep well. But Buddha said that I am a person who can sleep well. And what he really meant there is actually he can really sleep in a quality sleep. Of course, we know that Buddha did not sleep long hours. According to Buddha's daily routine, and Buddha slept only few hours, but he was able to go to complete rest during this few hours. It was helpful for him to to maintain his body. But on other times he's abide in the deeper levels of meditation, which is even better than the sleep. It's a deep relaxed state. So, however, understand Buddha himself, talked about, Buddha talked about himself as saying that I'm one of the people in this world who can sleep well. I think we should also try to be that, people who can sleep well. But of course, we should not, take into extreme saying, I'm always sleeping, and Buddha didn't really encourage us to be lazy. And in fact, in the monks and in the instruction given to the monks, what Buddha really meant there is not really to sleep long. What Buddha really meant there is actually be disciplined in your sleeping, and don't be lazy in sleeping long hours, and dedicate your time for meditation. So knowing the correct measure of sleep. And so we need to find the balance, not sleep too long, and also not also deprive our sleep, and having a good rest. But of course, in order to sleep well, we need to have a good mind, right? And that's how physical immunity and mental immunity are so connected. And if you have so much worries going on, so much troubles going on, if you don't know how to, relax your, mind, and it's going to be really difficult to sleep. So the reason that Buddha was able to sleep even in difficult circumstances was that his mind was completely free, so he can sleep easily. We can gradually develop that quality. But one thing I would like to emphasize is that it's not only like sleeping enough, but at the same time, again, how we sleep. That one thing that's going to happen in the sleep is that when you sleep with whatever thoughts, those thoughts will get those thoughts will be incubated in sleep. So let's say if you sleep with some negative thoughts, you had some memory of a negative situation, and you were angry, you were unhappy, you were disappointed, you were sad. So if you sleep, just before you sleep, if you had that kind of negative thoughts, what's going to happen in the dream? That these thoughts will, be incubated, will be cooked, so to speak, and will be, even like will be enhanced. So it's really important that when we go to sleep, sleep with wholesome thoughts. Then those wholesome thoughts will be incubated. Those wholesome thoughts will be gestures inside the sleep. Those wholesome thoughts will be uh, enhanced during the sleep. So I will encourage you, when you go to bed, and don't simply lie there and start to think about all these things. Of course, we in the bed, you should reflect on what happened in the day and think about maybe situation that you could have done better, and reflect on that, and think about so having a sense of gratitude is such a wonderful way to go to sleep. And so thinking about who helped me today, and what kind of condition that helped me to go through the day. We can easily remember the negative moments, but we can purposely make an effort to remember the positive ones, and thinking about all the people who help us, all the people who did not disturb us, and all the conditions that help us to live the day, and just think about them and be grateful. I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful, grateful, and have that thought, and let that thought be cooked in the sleep, and that let that thought be settled in your sleep, and then definitely you will have a stronger immunity. So remember to rest well, and also go to sleep with wholesome thoughts. Make a purposeful effort. That will help you. Okay, so the third guidance is proper breathing, or what we can call a particularly long breaths. That will be the next one, long breaths. Yeah, thank you, Brother Leslie. You're so kind to put all these important subtitles. Yes.
Bhante, I'm not sleeping yet, Bhante, not sleeping.
Okay, so I can check. I can check whether you are sleeping. So glad that you got the message correctly. But sometimes people may think that, okay, Bhante asked us to sleep well, so I should go to sleep right away. But I think, of course, sleep well, but knowing the correct measure of sleep. Thank you, brother. So having long breaths. I think we know that our body needs air. Of course, there are key important needs of this body. Food, and AI is a really important need. I think what's really happening in our life is that we take our breath for granted. We don't pay attention to our breath, and actually most of the time we don't take enough oxygen to our body. So we should really make an effort to take long breaths. I think I have also talked about this in our previous Dhamma talks. You may have also heard about this from other Dhamma speakers also. Purposefully taking long breaths can be really helpful. Of course, we know that breath is an important, important mechanism in our body that we can use to relax our body. At the same time, we know that in meditation on breathing, we use our breath to enhance our mindfulness and also gradually develop our insight. So that's really a breathing meditation. But what I meant here is actually purposefully taking deep breaths, deep breaths from time to time, and giving enough oxygen to our body, and because our breaths are too short, we are accustomed to have short breaths. And taking a long breath can send a good message to our body, because whenever we are anxious, whenever we are so afraid of something, you know that what happened to breath. When our our breath becomes shallow, our breath becomes fast, and soon then our bodies get ready to face that threat. So our body will, of course, whenever our breath is short and shallow, our body is producing adrenal, cortisol, all kind of hormones that needed for the body to prepare for a fight, to prepare to run away. And so when our breath is short and shallow and our body is not in a state of resting, so purposefully taking a long, deep breath can send an important message to our body, like telling our body that I'm safe, I'm okay. Then our body will go to resting mode. If our breath is shallow and fast, our body is always watching and always alert and preparing all these hormones for our body to get activated. And of course, we need that kind of active body, agitate that energetic body to like run away from a threat. But we don't need such a state of the body all the time. And whenever we have that what we call a stress response in our body, we suppress our immune system. Whenever we are facing a threat, whenever we want to run away from a car coming towards us, whenever our body has no time to think about immunity. So we deprive all the immunity and then help our body to have extra energy. But the breath is really key part in that. So if our breath is shallow and short, our body thinking that we are in a threat, we are in a stressful situation, we are facing a threat. So it's not in a fully resting state. Therefore, we really need to like pay attention to like from time to time take a long, deep breaths. I think it's just like drinking water. I know that Brother Leslie, and you are a biker, right? And I think do you bring a water bottle with you whenever you go for a hike or bike?
Always, Bhante, you need water all the time. You
Yes.
have to be hydrated. Yeah. I think,
So you have to be what you call hydrated, right? You have to
yes.
be hydrated. So just like our body needs water and food, our body also needs air, right? Just like we carry a water bottle and drink our water from time to time, I think we should also take time to take long breaths from time to time. So I would like to give a suggestion. We should take 3 breaths, 3 long breaths, at least 3 times a day. How about that? 3 long breaths, 3 times a day. So make this a routine, make this a habit. Try to connect this to one of your routines of the day. You can join this with your meal, because you are going to eat anyway. So we can join with our meal, or you can connect that practice with some other routines of your day. Remember to take 3 long breaths, 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, evening. This is like being kind to our body and also sending a good message to our immunity system, or good message to our body. I'm safe, I'm fine. You can be in the resting state where the immunity is enhanced. So I think I remember, in one of the, our brother Billy Tang's talk, he talks about long breaths. Also, he used an interesting term. So he called it LSD breath. So I like that term. Our brother Billy's term, LSD breathing. What he meant by that, L stands for long, and S stands for slow or smooth, and D stands for deep. That means taking a long breath, but don't make it, the slow means be it natural, make it slow, or make it smooth. Don't force it, but take a long, slow breath and make it smooth and natural. And deep breath means that take a high volume of oxygen. So LSD. So having taken that kind of 3 breaths at the 3 times of a day can be really helpful and healing and enhance our immunity. So I would like you to do it right now. Brother Leslie, are you ready to take 3 long breaths?
Sure, Bhante.
Yes, let's experience this. Like just like you take a sip of water from your water bottle,
Yeah.
right? So
Okay.
okay, so I'm going to show my hand. So at least we need to like take our breath like 5 seconds long breaths, and then if you can, we can 5 seconds breathing out, and we have to make it at least to make it 5 seconds. And if we can make our breathing out longer than our in breath, that's even better. So I will encourage you, maybe we can take 5 seconds breath, and then maybe 6 count breathing out. Okay, let's
Okay.
do 3 times. Okay, so I'm also going to do with you. Let's do together. I will show my hand, so you know how to do that. Okay, first let us release whatever air we have. Okay, breathe out first. Okay, start breathing. Let's breathe out now. Good. Let's take next breath. Breathe out. Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
brother.
I find that when you close your eyes, you seem to be able to breathe better. Actually.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that will be like a short meditation, right?
Yeah.
Like a short
Yeah.
meditation.
I
Yeah, but
tried. I tried with my eyes open and my eyes closed. I found that when my eyes are closed, breathing is much easier, both in and out.
definitely. I think naturally, I also kind of, close my eyes halfway through, yeah,
Yeah.
naturally happens. But I think remember, like, just take 3 breaths, 3 long breaths. Doesn't take much time, but that can really help us. So remember 3 breaths, 3 long breaths, and do it 3 times a day. And this is a form of mindful meditation, and also really helping our body to teach helping our body to go to what you call parasympathetic mode, the mode that can help us to boost our immunity. So at least sending our body to parasympathetic mode 3 times a day, and giving a nice message to our body, everything is safe, I'm okay, and doing it 3 times a day. Of course, other than having enough oxygen to our body, is also help giving an important message to our body. So please remember to take 3 breaths 3 times a day. So let's now move to our mental immunity. Of course, our physical immunity is so connected to our mental immunity. So in this instruction given by the Buddha to monks, this Gatha, the stance I told you earlier, and there Buddha talked about experiencing higher states of mind is one thing that we should do if we can on daily basis, which means that we have this ordinary mind, this normal mind, that all kind of different thoughts and memories, different emotions, and it's kind of fluctuating mind. But we can also gradually guide our mind to come to a very mindful, alert, and also settled, serene, calm state. And in our meditation on qualities, on loving kindness, our meditation on the qualities of the Buddha, and our breathing meditation, we are gradually guiding our mind to go beyond our normal state of being to a higher, deeper, serene state of being. So mental immunity can be developed in by experiencing those high states as often as we can. There are two ways to develop our mental immunity. One is being mindful whenever we have our negative thoughts occurring in our mind. So it's common that we will experience negative thoughts. It's common that we'll get angry, we get upset, we get sad. Those emotions can come, but how long we want to keep them, that's where we can introduce changes. So if we can be mindful, I think we have talked about that quite often. If we can simply be mindful, oh, I'm feeling sad now. I'm feeling angry now. I'm feeling unhappy now. Just being aware of that whole mental state, and with that very awareness can create a kind of safety for us, because being aware of that emotion kind of reduce the power of that emotion. So it's okay to have those emotions. Those emotions will occur, but then if we can become mindful and be aware of that, and then we can introduce changes and ask, do I really want to feel like that? Is there other way that I can think about this? And being mindful, and then try to let go of these thoughts and try to either focus on something else or try to find a way to solve that issue, and that can happen next. But being aware of those unwholesome thoughts can really help us to prevent those thoughts from developing into a very strong emotions, and then even eventually like motivate us to do unwholesome actions, bad karma. So mindfulness and watching our negative emotions and also letting them go, like watching them and letting them go. It's like washing our body, washing our mind. So always being aware and knowing that, remembering that, you may have all rights to get angry. Of course, you have been cheated. People have mistreated you. You have all rights to be angry. But is it helpful? Is it healthy to us? That's a question we should ask. Is it healthy? And then we can let them go out of kindness to ourselves. We can let them go. We can drop. We can refocus our mind to something else, or we can think about how to solve this and just drop the negative feelings out of kindness to oneself. So that's the first thing. Second one is actually what we call so the mindfulness can be practiced at any time whenever we are having negative emotion, negative thoughts, because our negative emotions can influence our body, and it can release all the hormones that can create all these agitated stressful state of the body, and then can suppress our immunity. So maintaining wholesome thoughts can really help our both body and mind. And of course, other than being mindful of negative thoughts and removing and washing them away, the one important other practice is called is the doing standard meditations. Or 15 minutes, 30 minutes, how long you can dedicate your day. And this is really such an important practice, that taking a moment and do a chanting and pay respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and then and then and just engage in a good meditation of loving kindness, meditation on breathing, and just do that practice, and that can definitely help our mental immunity and help us in many ways, and of course for our immunity also. There's an important term that I would like to introduce you to today, that is called Patisallana. Patisallana. This is a Pali term. When you read Pali Suttas, and when you talk about when in many of the suttas we find this term called Patisallana. It says that when Buddha give a teaching, and he usually give a teaching after he spent what he called Patisallana. It looks like, and every in afternoon time, and Buddha had this practice, this routine of going into Patisallana every day, and he will give a teaching. He will come in, and he will go to someone, or maybe give a teaching after he come out from Patisallana. So in Pali Suttas, we find this term Patisallano Vuttito, after getting up from Patisallana. So the term Patisallana refers here actually a period of meditation, the period of deep meditation, that every day. And Buddha has this routine that no matter whatever things that he has to deal with, he has to train or disciples. He has to talk with common people, with ministers and kings and and Buddha has to guide this whole community. No matter whatever things he has to do, he made sure that in probably it looks like in the afternoon he had this time that he will go into deep meditation. He will be secluded himself and will go into this deep and state of resting, what we call patisalana, and then he will come out of that, and then he will engage with other issues in life. So it's a very important practice by the Buddha. I think in the same way we should also try to learn to dedicate some time slot in our day that we will go into deep go into practice of meditation, helping our mind to go into a deeper level of calmness and resting and mindfulness. And it may not be as as strong as Patisalana for the Buddha, but I think it's an important practice that we all can do. So therefore, just remember that our physical immunity, our body has this innate system that it can heal itself, but we just need to support, we just need to enhance that inbuilt innate immunity. So we can do it by changing our lifestyle. But mental immunity is the key here, keeping our mind positive, keeping our mind free from unnecessary worries and thoughts, and also helping our mind to experience deeper levels of calmness, deeper levels of restfulness, and also mindfulness is a key. So when we have such a mind, it can help our mental immunity, which can also help our physical immunity. But when it comes to physical immunity, mindful eating and mindful sleeping, and also taking long breaths 3 times a day can help us to improve our physical and mental immunity. I think this is what I have to share with you today. I hope that during this next coming months, you will be able to maintain your immunity and enhance your immunity and be strong. And I hope that you all will get your vaccine. But even after you get vaccine, and we need this innate immunity. We need to improve our innate immunity. These practices can help you immensely to develop that innate immunity. Let us work on that future of our life. I think as humankind, we all need to focus on enhancing our immunity. That's going to be the ultimate solution to all these global problems that we experience in today. We cannot always have our external kind of help. We can develop what we call acquired immunity. That's what we are doing with our vaccines. But ultimately, we need to find ways to develop our innate immunity. I really hope that you can use the teaching of the Buddha, particularly these practices. I think you remember that, right? Maybe brothers, you can help me to put all these things, together. Eating mindfully, sleeping well, and also sleep with good thoughts, and then 3 long breaths 3 times a day, and then and maintaining, having a regular practice of meditation. These things can help us a lot. Yeah. Thank you, brother. So maybe we can have some time for discussion, or maybe answering questions if we have any. Okay, we have a question here from our brother David. Of these 6 defilements, greed, hatred, ignorance, ego, doubt, and wrong views, which are the most difficult to deal with, and how to deal with them? Thank you, Bhante. Brother David, maybe this will be a a topic for another Dhamma talk. But let me give you a brief answer, Brother Leslie. Buddha actually has a specific teachings on greed, hatred, and delusion. Buddha said that greed is something that will stay long in our mind, but is not what do you call it will stay long, but not very easy to remove. Anger will stay not long, very short period of time, but we can easily easily we can remove it. But I think the most difficult one to remove in this case is what we call ignorance, or we can ignorance, and also it's related to what you call ego, and all other things are connected to ignorance. The most difficult one, and also the key defilements, uh, is avidya, and it's actually is a basis for all other defilements too. So avidya is the most difficult one, and all other emotions are also based on that. And that is, we need to replace our avidya with right view first, and learning the teachings of the Buddha and having a correct view of the reality, and then gradually transform that view into a direct experience, what we call vision, or dasana, and then that can help us to get rid of the ignorance. I think it's important to understand the differences of these different defilements. But the short answer, Brother David, is that ignorance is the most difficult one to get rid. And you need first right view, the teachings of the Buddha, learning the teachings of the Buddha, remembering the teachings of the Buddha intellectually. That's the first step, and then reflect on these teachings, comparing it with our own life experiences, and that's the second practice. And then using our meditation to directly experience what Buddha has taught about our own life, or particularly about our own five aggregates. And that is the other technique, the more powerful technique to get rid of ignorance. Yeah, let's talk about other defilements on another day. Yeah, thank you, brother.
Thank you, Bhante. I
Yes,
don't see any new questions, but I just have an observation. I think the fact where we're talking about immunity
yes.
and mindful eating nowadays, we don't have this. Well, I see other religionists have this practice of paying thanks to before they eat. They sit and they actually have a prayer before we eat. In Buddhist culture, I don't think we have that particular practice, except for the monks who recite about the reflections on eating.
Mm.
And nowadays, modern families or children, or even parents for that matter, they will just get a plate of rice, and they will sit in front of the TV or the computer or the phone, and they are really not paying any attention to what they're eating. They're just more interested in what they're watching. So I think that's part of the problem, because there's really no uh, physical connection with what they're eating. So that, as you said, the immunity is also going to be not there eventually,
Yes.
because you don't know what they're eating and in partaking. And other problem I also notice is that a lot of people nowadays suffer from insomnia, which means they
Mhm.
can't sleep or they don't have enough sleep, and then they're actually like zombies the next day.
Mm.
Uh, what are your thoughts on this, Bante?
Yeah, I think listening to you, brother, it's no wonder that we get infections so fast, because one thing is that we have no really connection to our food, because in order for our food to be really nutritious, or maybe a nutriment to our body, we need to have a mental connection also. Not simply stuffing the food to our body. And I think we need to have that. And also, whenever we are eating without any awareness of the food, we will not even chew them well, right? So the very digestion, most part of digestion also happen in our mouth, right? So I think mindful eating and having a grateful attitude to the food, and treating our food with some kind of, with some respect, is really important, to like get the full benefit of our food. So of course, brother, you are correct. I think nowadays we have made our food, our eating also another task. And so we are so engrossed with all other activities that we take our eating also as another burden, and therefore we eat while we are doing so many other things. But I think ultimately we have to ask why we are doing all these things. Are we not living? Are we only working? Are we not living? I think it's really important that we dedicate time to eat, and then if you can make and just take even a short time. Just don't do any other thing when you are eating. Have a good relationship with your food. You don't have to have any other things in front of you. when you're having food. Food is good enough. So approach food with respect, and then be grateful whoever produced them, and then make a wish that, as I told you, may this food be a medicine to me. May this food be a nutriment to me, and then we can eat. Of course, insomnia. I think, brother, maybe people are so stressed with the work, right? That's why they cannot sleep well. I think we had too much work these days. People are focusing more on work rather than living. I think it's real. That is very important to learn to relax and learn to let go. It's really important. Sometimes we are so attached to our work. Sometimes we develop our identity. We have identified with our work. I think we need to think that work is important, is helping the society, is helping us to live our life, but we should never identify ourselves with work. And then we should be able to let go of the burdens of the work, at least when you're not working. It's a real challenge, brother, but we have to work gradually to learn to let go of the concerns and the attachment to work. I think it has been so challenging, brother, these days, because now we are working from home, so there's no really distinction between the working hours and not working hours, and that's not really good for people.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem, Bhante. Sorry, Sister Lillian actually just asked the same question. Let me just pose her question to you, Bhante. She says, not that we do not want to sleep, but we cannot sleep because of insomnia. So,
Hmm.
what do we do to induce peaceful sleep?
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, brother Lillian, yeah, maybe I can, yeah. One thing I can suggest, that when you go to, I think going to sleep also should need certain preparations. If you really need to have a good sleep, and do it, house preparations. There are certain things we need to do. So we should not have any blue screen nearby us. So we have to keep away our blue screens. Can be our computer, can be our TV, can be our cell phone. We should be away from them in order to have good sleep. Don't have your phone next to you when you sleep. So make sure that you remove all these blue screens away from you before you sleep. Uh, and also doing some chanting can also help us prepare our mind and body for sleeping. And doing a short chanting, and then of course we have to think about the lights. How you manage the lights. It's kind of we need to teach our body that we are getting ready to sleep. So, but before we sleep, we need to have all these preparations. Um, and then I think when you are in the bed, don't try to sleep. We will not be able to sleep when we try to sleep. Don't try to sleep. Just lie down and just rest. That's what we need. So when you are there, just like I mentioned, try to we can do few things actually. One is we can really bring our mindfulness of that very experience in our body while we are in the bed. So you can just go through your body and feel all the sensation you can feel. When when your head is touching the pillow, what exactly you feel there, and exactly how your body is pressing your mattress. You can focus on that and that feeling of touch, and just gradually go from the top of your head all the way to the downs of your body, and having that awareness of your posture, and that brings the mindfulness right there, and release your mind from other preoccupations, other things. Just bring your mind to the present moment, which is very simple and relaxed, and less simple state of the mind. And once you do that contemplation, then you are right there. You are in the bed, not in your work, not in your office, in your mind. You are not only your body, but your mind is also in your bed when you do that body contemplation. And then develop that attitude of gratitude, and just feel that I'm so grateful for everyone and for everything that enabled me to live this day. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And then have a loving kindness thoughts that may all people in the world be well, be happy, be peaceful. May everyone be able to rest well. And keep on wishing, may everyone be able to rest well. May everyone be able to rest well. And if you keep wishing that loving kindness wish, I hope that you will sleep while in the middle of the meditation, while in the middle of the contemplation. That's the best way to sleep. Then what will be incubated in your sleep will be these loving kindness thoughts. So, Sister Lillian, that is my suggestion. Prepare beforehand, removing all your blue screens away, and maybe you can even clean your body and do a recitation, pay respect to the Buddha and bow down 3 times, and then go to bed, lie down, do a body contemplation, feeling the body as it is, and make feel grateful, and keep wishing loving kindness, like wishing everyone to be everyone or may all beings to be able to rest well, rest well, and rest well, rest well. Just keep repeating that word, rest well. May everyone rest well and rest well, rest well. I hope that you will fall asleep in the middle of that relaxation, that reflection.
Thank you, Bhante. I think that was an excellent piece of advice.
Yes.
So, Sister Lillian, I think you just have to watch Facebook again tonight before you sleep and listen to Bhante's advice and see whether insomnia is solved or not solved yet.
But brother, my advice is that remove your phone
Yeah,
before. Unfortunately,
yeah,
we have used these devices. But I
yeah.
think,
No, I guess we lose the devices for wrong reasons. But if you're still listening to you, Bhante, I think is the right thing to do. So
yeah,
it's part of a meditation. I think I
yeah,
fell asleep halfway when you were explaining to Sister Lillian.
yeah.
So
Yeah, maybe tonight, actually,
yeah,
tonight, maybe she can listen to that, and maybe make sure that after you listen, you keep the phone away. It's also,
yeah, yeah.
these radiations are also not good for our body, right? So keep those phones away, some, feet away, and then come back to the
Switch
bed.
it off. Switch it off and put it away. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So Bhante, I think we have come to the end. I don't see any more questions from the audience. So we have come to the end of this evening's Dhamma sharing. Bhante, would we like to do the Anumodana, please?
Yes. Thank you, Brother Leslie, and I was really glad to be with you tonight. And I wish everyone well-being, and I wish everyone to have a stronger immunity. I really hope that you can continue to improve your immunity following these practices, following the teachings of the Buddha. And I really wish that may you be safe, may be protected, may be healthy throughout these seasons. I may all be able to get vaccinated soon, even with or without vaccination. May you be able to protect your health and by improving your innate immunity. That is my wish for you. Let us now share our merits with everyone else by listening to this Dhamma, by staying with attentive mind, free from greed, hatred, and delusion. We were able to generate so much goodness, so much good merits in our heart. Let us now share these merits with everyone else. First of all, let us share these merits with our departed relatives, people who loved us so much, people who cared for us too much, and who are no more with us today. May all of our ancestors, may all of our family members, may they share these merits, may they be benefit from these merits, may they be well and happy wherever they may be. Idang mi ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñāteyo. Idang mi ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñāteyo. Idang mi ñātinang hotu sukita hontu ñāteyo. Let us also share these merits with all other living beings. If there's any living being in this world who would like to share this merit, may he or she do so. May all living beings share our merits. May all living beings be well, happy, and peaceful. එත්තාවතාච අම්හිහි සම්භතං පුඤ්ඤ සංපදං සබ්බේ දේවා අනුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සංපත්ති සිද්ධියා සබ්බේ භූතා අනුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සංපත්ති සිද්ධියා සබ්බේ සත්තා අනුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සංපත්ති සිද්ධියා.
Thank you, Bhante, for the Anumodana. And I think we've come to the end of this evening's broadcast. And before we end, let me, on behalf of the monks of the Buddhist Mahavihara and also the members of the Committee of Management, thank Bhante for taking time off this morning from his busy schedule in Pittsburgh to be with us. And hopefully, we can have him again with us in April next month, again for one more session. But there's a lot of requests, Bhante. As you know, the last time I mentioned to you, they all want to hear you at least once a month. So we'll try to arrange something in April if we can.
Yes.
And also to all our sponsors this evening, thank you so much for sponsoring this evening's Dhamma sharing. And to all our listeners who are paying attention to the Bhante's Pemarathana this evening, thank you for taking time off to listen to us here every Friday and every Sunday. So with that, we've come to the end, and have a pleasant evening, one and all. Sadhu.
Thank you.